Hey everybody, this is Tanner.
I'm Lindsay.
This is my friend Lindsay. We just got back from Ghostbusters and we decided that we're going to do a vlog about it.
Yeah.
So, this will have spoilers, but we're going to get the non-spoilery stuff out of the way first. So what did you think of the movie, Lindsay?
It was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was quite good.
Yeah.
It wasn't better than the original, but it did come pretty close.
Yeah.
It's better than the second one, but that's not that's a pretty low bar.
The second one was one of those like, what?
Yeah.
What is with this ghost baby?
The ghost baby. There's no ghost babies in the new Ghostbusters.
Thank God.
A+ on that.
Yeah. There was no dumb ghosts.
No.
Like, just nothing that makes you go like, what?
Yes,
Yeah.
all very good ghosts. All very good Ghostbusters.
Scary ghosts too.
Yeah, the ghosts are pretty scary.
Yeah.
Kids will have nightmares.
Yep.
So quality there.
Yeah. There will be enough stuff for Halloween.
Yep. At least like a Goosebumps books level of scariness there.
Yeah. A lot more the slime than like
yes.
lights out horror.
Yeah, no. I mean, it is still a comedy.
Yeah.
The comedy is very good. Kristen Wiig as Holtzman gets the MVP award. You know, she cleared my skin, she watered my crops. I'm pretty sure there were some scenes where they just said, okay, Kate, just go. Just do it.
Yeah. She brought the sciencey humor.
Although, we hashed over a bunch of other stuff in the car.
Yeah.
One thing, speaking of the science humor though, one thing that we were disappointed in is that most of the science talk does get given to
Aaron.
Kristen Wiig as Aaron, and Kate McKinnon as Holtzman. They get the majority of the science talk.
Melissa McCarthy's still doing most of the slapstick.
Yes, and that's... I mean, if you like it, then you won't be disappointed, but I know a lot of my friends weren't interested just because they were kind of tired of Melissa McCarthy always playing the same character, and that's something that I share as well.
Well, she wasn't exactly the same character,
No,
but she still relied on the slapstick.
Yeah, she got the bulk of the slapstick stuff. I mean, even if you don't like it, you probably won't be too disappointed because it is an ensemble. Everyone else gets a lot of scenes as well.
Yeah,
so
everybody feeds off of each other.
Yeah, she doesn't take it over. The chemistry is great.
Yeah.
Chris
Chris Hemsworth was hilarious.
Chris Hemsworth was a gift.
Yes.
He's
the dumbest thing in the world.
He plays Kevin the secretary, and thank God he's pretty. Because the poor thing.
If he wasn't, he would have been fired so quickly.
Oh, man.
Like, I don't care if he's the only person who applied, like...
You gotta draw the line somewhere on that.
Yeah.
Leslie Jones was good, too.
Yes.
She's another person, though, that got a bit of the short end of the stick when it came to the science-y stuff, and there was the whole controversy about her being the only black woman in the cast, and she's not a scientist, and... I understand that. I mean, I'm not too worried about it just because Leslie Jones said that she doesn't mind that, but I still wish she got more in her area of expertise, which was the history of New York. And
which, hopefully, they will build upon.
Yes, hopefully they'll build upon, and I'm pretty sure they will get a sequel. Hopefully, Melissa McCarthy will get more stuff to do beyond just the slapstick. Hopefully, Leslie's character, Patty, she'll be able to talk more about the history, talk more about, like, the, I don't know, mythology of New York, maybe, or architecture.
More banter humor, too.
Yes, more banter. The banter was kind of...
Okay.
Yeah. It was more of a thing in the original.
Yeah.
The original did a lot of stuff right. This one did a lot of stuff right. Thinking of some of the issues in this one, they're not huge just because I felt there were issues that the first one shared.
Yeah, honestly, it was more like the pacing. It was a bit too fast.
Yes, there's...
it almost felt like there was a scene or two that they needed just to let the characters breathe.
Mm-hmm. They immediately get into Kristen Wiig joining Abby and joining Holtzman. Yeah. And they form the Ghostbusters. I mean, they don't form the team, but they immediately get together and go after a ghost, like, within the first 15 minutes. And it would have been nice to see a bit more character stuff before that happened.
Yeah, see what actually broke them up with the whole...
Yeah.
This isn't a spoiler, because it happens in the first 15
minutes.
So, Kristen Wiig's character, she and Melissa McCarthy's character had written a book about the paranormal, but then Erin, Kristen Wiig's character, becomes, a major scientist for Columbia. She's a physicist and all that, a lecturer, and she's up for tenure, and she loses it because of the book.
Yeah.
Basically. And, Tywin Lannister is, like, the person in charge
He's
of...
he's the Dean of Science at Columbia.
And he's very Tywin Lannister.
It's just Charles dancing all over the place for a good 5 minutes. It's great.
Yeah.
A lot of the support, pretty much everyone in the cast is great. You've got Charles Dance as the Dean there. There was one of the guys from Veep as one of the government agents. Both the government agents, they didn't really do much, but when they were there, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I'm pretty sure he's in Silicon Valley. He was like, he kind of fills the role of the librarian from the first movie where he gets hit by the first ghost scare. He did that great.
Yeah, and that was pretty scary, actually.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good. I think... What else? What else can we say that's not a spoiler?
They do not get into the fire station at the beginning. There is a reference to the fact that it is now like $2,100 a month to rent that building.
No, they said $21,000.
$21,000 a month, US too.
So they operate out of a little Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, only bring that up because like it's just pointing out that this isn't the 80s anymore.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It felt much more like more of an origin story for them than the first one felt like an origin story.
Yeah.
Just let's see, comparing the first one also.
They did.
I feel like the new one, it suffers from a lapse in the second act. Because here's what happened. The first one, you have some ghost scares at the beginning, and then in the second act, Winston joins them, and the ghosts start picking up, and then the last one is the battle with the main villain. And then with this one, and all the big ghost scares and the set pieces are in the first and last acts, and the second one is mostly just exposition and some plot developments, but there's no really any major things happening, so it kind of lags in the middle.
Yeah, the only big ghost was the one over at the concert, so...
Yeah, that was their Slimer moment, I guess.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the scariest part for me, because before that, there's like a Silent Hill moment where the ghost is possessing a mannequin.
Yeah, that one is really filling out, like, all the horror tropes. Like, even Patty references The Shining.
I see a pair of shining twins, and I am out of here.
Yeah, and, like, to be honest, like, any sane human being would be like that.
Yeah.
She even walks into a room full of mannequins, in a haunted place, it's kind of dark. Yeah.
She immediately leaves, and she made the right choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so, do we want to get into spoilers now?
Yes.
Okay, so, if you don't want to be spoiled, then shut it down now. Just like, this is a good movie. You gave you the reasons to go see it.
Yeah.
So... Spoilers are going to be 3, 2, 1. Zool!
Okay. So this is...
It's the stinger.
So they're all, like...
They're all just developing the new gadgets now that they've got the government funding. They get government funding from that.
And they move into the fire station.
They get into the fire station. And Patty's listening to this tape recorder, and then she's like, I got something. And they're like, really? Like, yeah. What's a Zool? And then there's like 5 people in the theater, myself included, who just went like, oh shit!
Yep. So that's basically going to be the second movie. And I think that most of the action took place in the same building as the first movie.
Yeah, or at least it was supposed to be.
It references it because, like, both buildings have, like, the weird geometry stuff.
Yeah, in the first movie, the building was weird because of the architecture.
Yeah, the architecture.
And in this movie, it was because of the ley lines. The paranormal energy is meeting underneath the building. And
plus, there was weird stuff that had happened.
Yeah, so that it was something that predated the building.
Yeah. But I think Patty also said that the architecture there is just weird.
Yeah. So that might be something that plays into the second movie as well. Like, I'm pretty sure they'll get a second movie. I think they did plenty.
Yeah. They'll get the money.
Yeah, they'll probably get the money.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? The cameos were mostly good. I felt Dan Aykroyd's cameo was kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah. Like,
there are definitely a few moments where their references to the original movie are not casual. They're like, they're like, might have well been a big neon sign. Like, remember when they did this in the first one?
Yeah, and then again, Slimer's was actually pretty good.
Yes,
Slimer was doing the things that you expect Slimer to do.
Slimer was probably of more importance in this one than the first one.
Yeah.
The villain, He wasn't very well developed, but he was better developed than the villains in the original movies.
Yeah, the villains in the original one was just like, we want to summon Zool.
Yeah, we're gonna summon Gozer.
Dot.
We're gonna summon, what the other guy? I want to call him Vince.
Yeah.
No, Ego.
Ego.
Ghost Baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just forget that the second Ghostbusters movie never happened.
Very easy to do.
Yeah.
But the other cameos were pretty good. Bill Murray's was probably the best.
Yes. And, oh, shit, I forget her name.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver. And
She shows up in one of the stingers.
Yeah.
You might as well...
Janice, the original
Yes,
secretary.
Janice shows up as well. She's fun.
She's a hotel clerk, and she's just amazing.
And then the guy, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Winston, he shows up at the end as well as Patty's uncle. And that was one where it was kind of telegraphed in the moments leading up to it. It's like, oh, here comes Patty's uncle. Yeah. And I think I saw people just kind of lean forward like, oh, is it going to be him? And then he came out of the car and they're like, yes!
Yes! And he's running a funeral home.
Yep.
He's an undertaker, and I just love that profession of morticians. Like, you guys do an awesome job, so...
Okay.
I follow a blog called Ask a Mortician, okay?
You're in the cadaver fandom?
Why not? It seems like a cool profession.
What else? The special effects were pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked... They were good just because of... based around the developments. Like, the original Ghostbusters had really good special effects for the time.
Yeah.
And I think ours are very good... The new one are a very good update of it.
Yeah.
I saw... Before the movie came out, there was, like, this little behind-the-scenes where they had the stand-ins for the ghosts wearing, like, these LED suits so that the glow that was hitting everything else would be natural. And that was just really good aesthetic, and it was really consistent for most of them.
Like... They didn't look real, but that's not the point of ghosts.
Exactly.
So
they looked realistically unreal.
Yeah.
It wasn't Green Lantern.
Yeah. Like, they were on purpose unsettling.
Yes.
So that's good point.
What else? Stay Puft does show up.
Yep.
As a Thanksgiving Day balloon. So he has his own moment.
Yep.
But then
the
the final boss though, he turns into the mascot ghost at the end, the one that's in the circle. And so I thought that was clever. But in execution, I mean, there's nothing bad about it, but I felt like it was too reminiscent of Stay Puft.
Yeah, without doing the whole, like, just covers the city in
it's still a big, white, puffy thing rampaging around the city.
Yeah. A little more nightmare feely because, like, he gets burnt and all that.
Yes.
So. Again, more stuff for the kids to, like, wake up in the middle of the night screaming for mom and dad over.
Yep.
Also, villain possesses Chris Hemsworth, and he basically acts like Loki.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that vibe from him, but
well, just understand. Like the over-the-top sort of maniacalness.
He leads a dance party.
Yes. Which, when I saw that, and the soldiers there, and, like, their armor and all that, I'm like, I do not envy the extras who had to go through all the dancing during the credits.
It was probably... They probably had to hire a dance troupe.
Yeah, they probably had to hire a dance troupe and get them to practice in that.
Yeah, what's probably easier? Teaching an entire military unit how to do a hip-hop dance?
Actually, probably, because they would be used to the weight of, like, the helmet, the armor, the boots. I've been in that shit.
Is it like... Okay, so when movies in the States, they get enough members of the military, they can get military funding.
Yeah, from the Pentagon. All they gotta do is submit the script.
So would they have been able to get Pentagon funding just for the dance scene, do you think?
I don't know, but they probably would have approached at least the National Guard and be like, hey, do you have guys who can do this? And
they would have gone up like, we need you to pay us to teach your men how to dance.
Or like, which of your men know how to dance?
Who can get down?
Who's okay with, like, getting down?
Some gyrations.
And wearing, like, full body armor.
Yeah.
Basically. Oh, God. That had to not been fun.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so, sequel ideas.
Let's see. Fight Zool.
Like, if they are going to go forward with Zool and Gozer and that stuff in the sequel, they have to execute it differently than they did in the first one.
Yeah, because they basically did a lot of the same plot points.
They already possess Chris Hemsworth. He's not a love interest. He's like a lust interest.
Yeah, he's there just for eye candy.
He's there to look pretty.
Oh, they can't do the Stay Puft Marshmallow scene for the battle with Zool anymore.
No, it'd have to be someone new.
Yeah, but like Slime New York.
No, they don't have to. maybe they just go with what the original form was in the first one and have like the giant bedazzled David Bowie girl.
Yeah, I guess get Lady Gaga to play.
Yes.
Gozer.
American Horror Story, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and probably make the dog things look not so, I don't know, David Cronin.
No, I think they should try and do stop motion for the dogs again, because that was what gave me nightmares.
Yeah, a lot of that 80s horror, like, there's a reason why I still can't watch The Thing, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I am not, like, one of those gory supernatural horror types. I'm more of a Hitchcock girl, so... Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there anything else you want to add?
Good.
Soundtrack was good.
Yeah, the music was pretty good.
I mean, I'm still not sure about the Fall Out Boy cover of the song, but some of the other songs that showed up, there's an Elle King song that plays during the credits. It's really good.
Yeah. The Missy Elliott part was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Missy Elliott is always good.
I mean, everyone involved in the soundtrack is quality.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, the one cameo that really bugged me was Ozzy, because it was so forced. It's basically Ozzy going, Sharon, I have another flashback!
I didn't think it was too forced, because, like, on the marquee, they say that Ozzy's gonna be there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just playing into the whole character of Ozzy Osbourne. And
maybe it's just because it's just out of place with the other cameos. I mean, the only other cameos are the original Ghostbusters cast, and then just Ozzy is there. Yeah. Was Ozzy secretly involved in the production of the original? I don't think
know. So. I'm guessing they just needed, like, drugged out old rock star from the 60s and 70s. Like, it could have easily have been, like, Mick Jagger. Or Keith Richards. Like, we know that he's a fucking zombie.
Yeah. Maybe that's the plot of the second one.
Oh, God!
Keith Richards and his zombie army. The only thing keeping him alive is voodoo. Yep.
And it's starting to run out. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Okay, so have you ever heard of the Crossroads? Okay, so down in Mississippi, there was, like, a Crossroads, and apparently, like, I forget his name, but he's considered the first rock star, or, like, the guy who basically invented rock and roll. And he apparently sold his soul to the devil so that he could be the best guitar player out there, and then he dies at 27, thus creating the first member of the 27 Club. So, what if, because they also mentioned ghosts at the Chelsea Hotel, and guess who died there at the age of 27 at the Chelsea Hotel? Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols. Ooh. They could have a ghost...
Ghost Sid Vicious?
Yeah, Ghost Sid Vicious. Or... like, even just, like, a cameo or some sort of reference to that sort of stuff, because, like, yeah, why not? Dead rock stars.
So the first guy, he didn't play the fiddle?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he played the guitar.
It makes more sense for Satan to just be shredding.
And playing the guitar. Unless we are talking about the same Satan that Rasputin and Anastasia sold his soul to. But then again, he would probably be playing a balalaika.
Yeah, Satan with a Fiddle is only in Georgia and Newfoundland. Oh, one thing, just the theater itself. There was a lot of... Lindsay was excited that there were a lot of girls, and I was excited there were a lot of guys. Because after all of the hubbub
this drama about...
going around, there was a really decent amount of guys. And they're on their own. They weren't there, dragged there by their girlfriends or daughters or whatever. They were there to see the movie, and they clearly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's... Thank God.
Yeah.
Because... Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that covers about everything, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
He had a pretty good time.
I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Solid 8 out of 10.
I will go see the sequel.
Yeah.
That will exist.
Yeah. More than likely. Hopefully it's better than, like, the original sequel.
Definitely. That is not difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there will definitely be no Ghost Baby.
No Ghost Baby.
With the weird superimposed face.
No controlling the Statue of Liberty with an NES controller. They'll use a Wiimote.
who's to say that they won't use an X-Bone? Just like anything that is not the second Ghostbusters movie. Something more like the animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking monkey in there.
More Slimer.
More Slimer.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that about covers it. Ghostbusters, it's good.
Yeah.
It will not destroy the franchise. Yeah, you children.
Oh my god. It's gonna be fine.
Ghostbusters is too big to fail.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
I guess we'll...
Bye.
Bye.